Hi, welcome to Jackrabbit Journal. Kind of a tough weekend for the SDSU men's and women's basketball teams, but a good story coming up on the show on Clarissa Ober. For the Jackrabbit women's basketball team, you needed all of your fingers to count her block shots in that game on Sunday against USD. We also have an interview with former Yankton Gazelle Chloe Cornemann and women's head coach Aaron Johnston coming up in a little bit. But we'll start with the Jackrabbit men. Coming off a loss at North Dakota State over the weekend, the Jacks shot a season-low 29%, had their worst scoring half of the season with 17 points in the first 20 minutes. So hopefully nowhere to go but up now for the Jackrabbit men. The Jacks need to get Jake Biddle back in the lineup, get him and about 3 or 4 other guys 100% healthy again. And we keep talking about this, but they need to get enough bodies back in practice this week before they play at Oral Roberts on Thursday. Here's head coach Scott Nagy.
I don't think naturally we have a lot of tough guys, and so I think that they have to practice those things, and we're just not getting the reps in practice. But you know, that's just the way it is, and you have to make adjustments, and you have to understand that, and you still have to play basketball games.
Well, South Dakota State didn't really show a lot of toughness in the first half against Fort Wayne on Thursday. Now, the Jacks did enter halftime with a 1-point lead, but Scott Nagy believes it should have been a lot bigger.
When a team shoots 34%, you should probably be up by more than one, and I do think it was mostly had to do with just effort, giving up a lot of offensive rebounds. We certainly played well enough defensively on the first shot, but we weren't getting the first shot and giving them a lot of opportunities, either putbacks or we were fouling, putting them on the free throw line.
The Jackrabbit offense appeared stagnant in the first half, and during a timeout, Nagy simply told them to stop running their sets and play more up-tempo.
Our offense hasn't been very good. Probably, for a month, we just have not been very sharp, and we've not shot the ball well. And so we thought that maybe running some sets and trying to get the ball inside would help us, but it just slowed us down, and we weren't playing with any pace, and we're just a lot better when we play with pace. So we just told them to forget the sets and just start playing faster, moving the ball, and I think that helped us a little bit.
SDSU's starting backcourt of George Marshall and DeAndre Parks took the pace to a whole new level, as each set a new career high in points. Marshall with 28, Parks with 26, in an eventual 92-76 victory.
With George, when he's shooting well off the dribble, then that's going to go well for him. I think that they both recognize that we were just a little bit stagnant offensively, and probably took it upon themselves to do something about it. I do think. And it's great that we score a lot of points from those two, but I would prefer that offensively we were a little more balanced. And there are going to be games like that where people explode like that, but I would like to be a little more balanced offensively.
SDSU shot nearly 52% against Fort Wayne, their best shooting performance in a Summit League game this season. But it was followed by their worst shooting performance of the entire season at North Dakota State, shooting just 28.8%. The Bison missed 28 shots overall, while the Jacks missed 26 three-pointers alone.
We missed 26 threes, which, first of all, that's taking that many threes is just too much, and it keeps you from getting to the free throw line. Some of those were late because we had to shoot them, but several of them were, just taking threes. Now, we had a lot of good looks, and they don't go down. You figure you lose by 11. I mean, if you miss 26 threes, if you make 4 of those, the game is completely different. I think defensively we played well enough to win. I think in the second half we played hard enough, probably about as hard as we played all year. But the first half, there was just no energy and no effort.
SDSU is hopeful senior Jake Biddle can return from a knee injury this week, but Coach Nagy also believed he would come back last week, so time will tell on the injury front. The Jacks have played just 6 of their 19 total games with their expected starting 5. And while a road trip to Oral Roberts on Thursday may help his team concentrate, Coach Nagy actually says something else will help the preparation.
I think losing gives you extra focus. It should anyway, and we've been very inconsistent in terms of any kind of winning streak here lately. And obviously playing the way that we did at North Dakota State should give us some focus. I do think going on the road can help because there is that sense of it's us against everybody else. But I think even more so, the losing tends to help you focus.
Well, we will take a look at what is going to be another tough road trip for the men coming up later in the show. But next, women's head coach Erin Johnston talking about getting knocked off at home by those Coyotes when we come back on Jackrabbit Journal.
Jackrabbit Journal on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. Losing a basketball game at home is very unfamiliar to the SDSU women's team. The Jacks are now 7-2 at home this season after the loss to USD on Sunday. But a little like my kid just scraping the bumper and not totaling the whole car, the Jacks maybe can learn from the loss and hopefully use it to their advantage.
I think anytime you lose, you have to do two things. I think it should hurt because we put an awful lot of time into this thing, and if it doesn't bother you enough, then you're not really in the right program. So it should really kind of, cut you a little bit basketball-wise. But after every game, you have to figure out how you can get better from the game. And sometimes people like to just think about that after a win, and after a loss, you just get caught up in being frustrated, caught up in being disappointed. You need disappointment, but you also need to move forward and learn from it. And I do believe losing is a big part of the process of winning.
Well, the week started off with winning as South Dakota State notched a huge road victory at Fort Wayne, 61-42. Madison Giebert had another great performance from the outside with 15 total points on 5 trays. Meanwhile, sophomore Ellie Thompson had one of her best games of the season with 14 points and 8 rebounds.
We need Ellie to play better offensively, be more of an impact player for us. She has that kind of ability. We just haven't quite got her clicking all the time. She has some tough matchups, but also some good matchups. What I mean by that is in our league, there's a lot of forwards who are more guards, and so they have that quickness on her, and she's used to being able to score from the perimeter a little more, and that's tough. But she needs to find ways to get herself around the basket and be more of a threat inside, and that's what we're really going to work with her on over these next few weeks. Maddie's really come along since Christmas, really understanding where her shots are going to come from, and when she gets them, she's not hesitating right now. She's really shooting the ball with confidence, and we expect her to continue to even raise her level of play as we go forward.
SDSU took a 4-0 conference record into Sunday's showdown with South Dakota in front of more than 4,000 fans at Frost Arena. A neck-and-neck contest seemed to tilt in SDSU's favor once Giebert hit a 3 with just more than a minute remaining to give the Jacks a 2-point lead. But South Dakota's Nicole Seekamp scored the final 7 points, including a tie-breaking 3-pointer with a little more than 13 seconds remaining.
We played, I thought, pretty well. I thought third quarter into the fourth quarter, we got back to what I talked about with our offense struggling again. Some key turnovers, probably some key not great shots, not great possessions. So we took a 7-point lead into half and just let them keep chipping and whittling away and just didn't play well enough offensively. They just made a couple big shots when they really needed to, and we had chances, a lot of chances in a game we didn't play well enough offensively, and we just didn't quite get it done. So it's tough losing any game, tough losing at home, which we don't do very often, tough losing to a rival, but sometimes losing can be a part of winning, and it's never great to talk about it that way, but it is an important part of winning. You don't want to do it too often, but it's an important part of learning what it takes to win, remembering, ingraining that in our young team, which we are. So we're going to have to figure out a way to use it as a positive and move forward.
On Seekamp's game-winning shot, Giebert, whom Erin Johnston has credited with being a great defender, went under a screen that allowed the senior to get a cleaner look.
Against his own, we've really defended that play. They ran it quite a bit throughout the game. That was the first time we went under the screen. I think it was just a little bit of a lapse. It was a physical screen. The screen got out a little bit higher. Maybe Maddie thought she had enough time to get underneath it and come back, and gave up a step-back 3, which in the big picture of things is a shot that you don't necessarily worry about defending much because it's a tough shot. But I think going over the screen is what we usually try and talk about. I just think that one got out a little farther on the floor, and Maddie thought she had time to get underneath it.
The Jacks will have no time to dwell on the loss, with co-conference leader IUPUI coming to Frost Arena on Thursday, a matchup with Western Illinois on Saturday, and then a trip to another co-conference leader in Oral Roberts on January 27th.
We'll play the top 4 teams in our league with USD on Sunday, then the next 3 we have coming up. So we'll really be tested. It's good to be at home, but we're going to have to play better at home. Home by itself doesn't make us a good team. We've got to perform at a level that earns a victory here coming up.
Up next, a junior for the Jackrabbit women who is living in denial right now. She is a shot-blocking machine for SDSU, and rejection runs in the family. It is tough to get up and over this defensive standout. Her story coming up next.
Jackrabbit Journal on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Cullen Ober is the men's all-time leader in shots swatted at South Dakota State. He played in the late 1980s. His daughter, Clarissa, tied the school record with 8 blocked shots in the Jackrabbits game against South Dakota on Sunday. Ober now has 99 blocks in her career. That is 8th on the all-time list right now. Here is David Brown with more on Clarissa as she continues to climb up the leader ladder at SDSU.
South Dakota State has 2 new members in its starting lineup this season. The obvious newcomer is freshman Madison Giebert, but the other is junior Clarissa Ober, who's been patiently waiting for her opportunity.
It feels good to be a starter now, but I still have to push myself every day along with my teammates just to make us better.
Last year she was able to kind of be a third post and play behind some pretty good ones, and her contributions were added to starters. Now she's the starter. She's the one that we have to rely on every game, and for the most part she's really done phenomenally well.
Ober has nearly doubled her scoring since her freshman year, but her biggest contribution has been at the defensive end, where she's doubled her rebounding average to 8 per game, helping SDSU move on from last year's leading rebounder, Mariah Claren.
Having her for 2 years to play with, just watching how physical she was just to go get the boards, get the post moves, I kind of took that upon myself that I had to do that too.
Ober is the only lefty on the team, and while it may seem trivial, she does admit it helps her strategically.
I would say a lot of defenders kind of forget that you're left-handed because the majority of everyone's right-handed, so they kind of forget, so it's kind of a nice advantage to have.
She's played against some of the best posts in the country this year, whether it was Marist, whether it was Notre Dame, whether it was Maryland. She has had some of the toughest matchups on our team, and she's really responded well on both ends.
More family ties when we come back. The SDSU women have 2 seniors on the roster this year. One of them is from Yankton, South Dakota, and she comes from a long line of Jackrabbits. Chloe Cornemann in the Rapid Fire interview next.
Jackrabbit Journal on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. Chloe Cornemann is in her senior season now on the Jackrabbit women's basketball team. Cornemann was a South Dakota all-state performer in basketball and volleyball and track at Yankton High School. She is following in her family's track of athletic excellence at South Dakota State, and she is this week's Rapid Fire interview.
First one, your sister Ketty played here before you arrived. Right now, current, present day, who would win one-on-one between you two?
Me.
She's been out of it too long?
She still actually surprisingly has it a lot of the time, but I think if pressure got to her, she has been out of the pressure situations for a while, so I think that's where I'd get her. And I'm more in shape right now too, so.
Now, in addition to your sister, your dad wrestled here in the 1980s. So overall, who's the best athlete in your entire family?
Oh, that's a hard one because I still got little siblings coming too. So the overall athlete, I'm probably going to have to give it to Ketty just because she was a 3-time athlete here at SDSU, or 3-sport athlete, I should say, here at SDSU. So she, I would say, all-around athlete, but my brothers and my dad might disagree.
So Ketty's the best all-around athlete, but you would still beat her one-on-one.
I would still beat her one-on-one, though.
What is the best or worst nickname you've ever had?
Well, at one point I thought it was the best nickname because I gave it to myself. Coco, I gave the nickname to myself. It was originally for Clarissa Ober when she came in as a freshman, but then I decided that I wanted it. And so people started calling me it. Well, then it got old real fast, and it's dropped every once in a while, and sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I ever bring that up? So it was one of the best, but also not one of the worst.
And do people still call you Coco?
Every once in a while. Mike Jewett likes to drop it sometimes. Clarissa Ober, Tiffany Flata, they'll drop it every once in a while, but I mean, every once in a while is okay, but not all the time.
What is your favorite part of Yankton, South Dakota?
My favorite part of Yankton, besides my home house, would probably be the lake area. Spent a lot of summers growing up down by the lake. We had a boat and In the marina, they have docks and stuff, so we owned a dock for a while, had a jet ski, so spent a lot of hours at the lake.
What is your favorite TV show of all time?
My favorite TV show of all time? Oh, well, I'm currently watching How to Get Away with Murder. We're on the winter break right now, which I just learned that there were such things as that, so I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, they take 3 months
I
off.
know,
That's
I
ridiculous.
don't understand that at all. So How to Get Away with Murder, but my mom and I always used to watch The Amazing Race, the reality TV show. And we always thought that maybe one day our family would do that or be a part of that somehow. So
is that a post-playing career ambition
it
to be on
could
The
be.
Amazing
It
Race?
could be. I'd probably partner up with my sister Ketty just because she would be the overall athlete, but then I would need the brains of it. So probably my mom. So.
What is the first job that you ever had, and did you like it?
My first job, I was a lifeguard at the country club pool in Yankton, and I loved it. It was, who doesn't want to get paid to sit and tan and, drink sugary drinks and all that good stuff. So, yeah, it was fun. The country club pool is small, and, all the country club moms come and just basically watch their kids, and I just sit there and get my tan on.
So you didn't have to work in a fast food place or anything
No,
like that?
I never had to do that. Didn't have a lot of time for that. Summers were kind of my off time, so the lifeguarding position was it.
What is the guiltiest pleasure song that you listen to?
I would have to say my guilty pleasure song would be It Wasn't Me by Shaggy. I don't
That's
know.
really old school. That's late 90s.
That's an old school song and probably doesn't have the best message. My mom might not be proud of that, but it's more of the beat and just the music to it is kind of what I like.
Who is the most famous person or celebrity that you've ever met? If you have.
Oh, that I've met? I watched the Lakers play the Timberwolves one time, and I swear Kobe Bryant was looking right at me. I'm pretty sure he was, but...
We'll count that one. Who would win a game of horse between you and your teammates?
Oh, we got a lot of good shooters on our team. But horse has the trick shot aspect or just the, spot up, shoot the ball aspect. So I'd have to give this one to Macy Miller probably.
Macy's the trick shot person on your team?
Well, she just has it all. She would win for sure.
And lastly, what was the best day of your life?
The best day of my life? Recently, one of the best days of my life, I would have to say, was winning the Summit League Championship last year. I go back to that one a lot. Just the emotions, the feelings, the sights, sounds, all of it. I think back to it and just how fun it was. And
it was payback from the year before.
Definitely payback, which made it even a little bit better, but in the grand scheme of things, just a really great way to end our conference season. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Chloe.
Yep.
Coming up next, the Jackrabbit Wrestlers with an impressive start to the new year and a look ahead to a treacherous two-game road trip this week for the South Dakota State University men and another tough test at home for the Jackrabbit women.
Jackrabbit Journal on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to Jackrabbit Journal. The Jackrabbit wrestling team started the new year off on the right rabbit's foot last Friday with a 34-3 win at Northern Colorado. This is the Jacks' first ever dual win as members of the Big 12 Conference. And some of the results from that match, the Jacks got a tech fall win from Ben Gillette to get it started at 125 pounds. Seth Gross, a major decision at 141. Cody Pack ran his dual record this year to 8-1 with another win at 157 pounds. More bonus points with David Kosher at 174 and Brady Ayers at 184. And in a matchup of top 20 rated wrestlers, Spearfish native Nate Rodert beat Trent Noon. This is a guy who beat Rodert in Brookings last year. Well, did you know there is an RPI system in wrestling, kind of similar to basketball? All of these dual matches and wins right now go into that rating percentage, and they all have an impact on qualifying for the NCAA championships coming up in March.
All the Big 12 duels are seeding stuff. We look at in the Big 12, it's just head-to-head. If you beat this guy and you beat that guy, you're going to be seated ahead of those guys. But it's also those Division I wins count towards that winning percentage and your RPI and all that stuff to earn a bid to be able to go to the national tournament.
The Jacks host a triangular this Friday at Frost Arena, and then they've got a Big 12 conference duel against Air Force on Sunday morning. That match starts at 11:30. Jackrabbit women's basketball team plays at home on Thursday against IUPUI. The Jags are one of 4 teams at 4-1 right now at the top of the Summit League standings.
IUPUI is not going to be an easy one for us. They defend very well. They get you off the three-point line, which is where our comfort zone is. They defend inside, very physical, very tough, and they have the ability to score around the basket. A lot of the teams in our league are kind of jump shooting kind of teams, but IUPUI can really pound it down in the paint, and if we don't do a good job down there, we'll have a hard time with them.
So the women hosting IUPUI on Thursday, they host Western Illinois on Saturday, and the Jackrabbit men go to Tulsa to take on Oral Roberts on Thursday. The Jacks hopefully have Jake Biddle back in the lineup, kind of a homecoming for him. He is from Bixby, Oklahoma, right outside of Tulsa. And then on Saturday, the Jacks at USD. Coyotes won by 16 the last time they played at the Dakota Dome. We've got that game live here on Midco Sports Network at 4 o'clock. See you next week on Jackrabbit Journal.